Welcome to her Essence Journey. Welcome to her Essence Journey podcast. This is my friend, and it is going to be our all of our friends for today. On this podcast, I talk about all things, including my own personal journey and my stories, and how I've come to be closer to God. I also talk about anxiety and things that may deter you in the future if you let it and you don't release it to God. So on this platform, it is faith-based, but it also is designed so it can encourage women who are like-minded. Monica, are you nervous?
No.
Okay.
Not nervous.
My friend Monica shared with me her testimony. Maybe, was it like a year ago? I think it was like a year ago. When you first shared it with me, I felt very, let me think, what's the word for it? I didn't know how to respond. So my mind was like, let me just show her that I want to be here for her. I want to listen to what she has to say, because nothing like that has ever happened to me before.
Yeah.
And I also wanted to make sure I didn't come off like it had happened to me before, because I don't understand. You know what I'm saying? So, like, tell me a little bit about your background.
Wow. Okay. So first of all, I'm glad you even said that, because hearing it from someone else, you never know what it sounds like. It's like, okay, it's my story, it's my testimony. But when you hear somebody else, it's like, what do you do with that? Like, I've dealt with it. So let me start there. And thank you for having me on. I'm so
Thank
glad.
you for coming.
I am so glad. My personal motto is I just want to win at life and be a blessing to other people at the same time. And being on your platform, seeing all that you do, listening to your podcast, you're definitely doing that. You're winning for yourself, because you get something out of this too. As far as your own essence coming out, as far as your own stories and sharing it, but then everybody else is blessed too. So thank you for being a blessing to other women, because we need it.
Thank you. I'm glad you said that. The whole purpose behind this podcast is so that people can be able to elaborate on their own essence journey. And the whole thing with me sharing my own stories is so that people can find encouragement that even though this is your essence journey, it's different for everybody. It can still, help another sister. It can still help somebody else out. But I'm sorry for cutting you off. Go ahead.
Absolutely. No. No. We'll get into that. It's so good. I just want to jump right on in. Anyway, I am Monica Ekpota-Sepwe. I am a mom of a now teenage boy. Oh my goodness. And that's very, very different. I'm a lover of good chicken wings, really good food, period. But I'm a lot of things. I do a lot of things in the community. I do a lot of things in business. I'm a travel business owner where I help people live their best travel lives, the most abundant travel lives, especially groups and things like that. But what I am most proud to say is that I'm a kidnapping survivor, and I am still a child of God, even in the midst of that trauma, that crazy part. Like, I'm still a child of God.
So when you first told me that at a young age you were kidnapped, I didn't ask as many questions as I initially, like, after I thought about what you told me, I was like, dang, that's traumatic. That's a lot. But now that we are closer, I feel like I can ask these questions. So do you remember what happened? Like,
oh my goodness. So some things yes, some things no.
Okay.
One of the most interesting things about my story is that this actually occurred the next day after I got baptized. So I'm 10 years old and I'm walking around. I'm like, yeah, I got an S on my chest. I'm about to go out here and save people. I'm a Christian. I get to take the juice and the crackers now. Like, I was super excited. And then the next day was picture day. So I'm definitely cute. I got the spirit of the Holy Ghost on me, cute. My hair is done. I got this dress, and I'm actually walking to school. Well, actually, I'm walking to my friend's house, and my friend lived right behind the school. And at this time, I'm kind of telling my age, cell phones weren't really a thing. But I'm walking onto school, and I almost get to her house. Actually, it was maybe like a few feet away from her house or whatever. And this guy in this 2-door gray Thunderbird, he had like a mullet. He pulls up in his car and he was like, hey, do you want a kitten? And I'm like,
a kitten?
A kitten. Do you want a kitten?
A kitten.
And I was like, no, but I'm on my way to school. And he was like, well, it really needs to go to a good home. So would you help me let him free? Me and my 10-year-old mind was like, Jesus would love for me to help him with this kitten.
Yeah.
So, of course, I go in to try to look for this kitten. And, of course, we don't see this kitten.
Yeah.
And so then he's like, okay, well, look under this seat. And so I'm like, okay. And so he pulls the seat up or whatever. And I look in. And when I come up, all I know is that it's the struggle. I remember us struggling. I remember a handkerchief. I remember
so
him
you were
putting
fighting.
something. Oh, yes, I remember that.
Yeah.
And I remember being in his car. Like, I'm fading black in and out. I think he done something. He did have some chloroform or something on his rag. Something. And I'm going in and out. And we're going down the street. And we're driving. Aside from that,
nothing.
Blank. All I know is that I wake up running.
Oh my God.
I remember running down the street.
Yeah.
How I got out, I don't know. How it's like a mental block. I think that trauma there is
like it was like a fight or flight type situation.
Absolutely.
So it was like a fight or flight situation. You were running and you don't know how you got free. You have no memory, but you were already gone.
Yes.
Okay.
Down the street.
Yeah. Do you remember like ever looking back and seeing if they were coming, like chasing you?
Mm-mm. All I knew is I was just running. So literally I'm in the car and I'm in the person's car. The car is, locked and everything. And I remember just like trying to freaking get out. But aside from that, I don't know. It's just like black. All I know is I'm running for my life. I ain't trying to look back. What I'm looking back for?
That's true. You don't even know how you got free. But it's just in my mind. I was like, oh my gosh. Like,
the craziest thing though, when I was in that situation, I remember thinking in my 10-year-old mind, even then at that point, it didn't dawn on me what he was doing. It did not. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, I'll do this and I'll do that. But it didn't dawn on me. Me and my pure spirit, me and my 10-year-old mind, I'm just a new babe in Christ. I'm like, okay, is this man playing a game? Like, ha, 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 this is not funny anymore. So at first I'm like, oh, this is not funny anymore when I'm struggling and fighting against him. And I'm like, okay. Then I realized like, this is not a game. And I think everybody had that moment in their life when they realized that everybody in the world is not good. That was my moment. Before then, it was sunshine and rainbows and roses and everything is good. Everybody is good. But at that moment, I realized, oh shoot, everybody is not good.
Yeah.
Nothing like that. So, and it was crazy. I was running down the street and I finally get to my friend's house and I'm banging on the door because I'm crying. My shoes are wherever they at because I struck them out. I had them little clogs on. I don't know if you remember those. Little clogs. Your feet go in, baby. You ain't got that on the back. But they were gone. I don't even know where they were. At that point, my book bag is gone. I don't know where it is. Like nothing. And I'm banging on the door. And I'm like, I need to call my mom. Once again, it's before cell phones was out. And we couldn't call her. Like we called, but she had already left the house and she didn't have a beeper. It was just a crazy situation.
Yeah.
And the police was involved and they came and they was like asking all these questions. It was hard. That was a hard thing to have to do
at 10 years old.
At 10.
And a lot of people talk about like when they felt like that cloak or that guard was taken from them, like for different instances when you're an adult. I can imagine feeling like the innocence was pulled from me already at 10 years old. So I know you mentioned like you were just baptized.
Yes.
So how did it affect your faith journey after that?
I was so confused. I was really confused, like, God, why would you allow this to happen to me? I thought I was doing the right thing. I just got baptized. I'm trying to help someone. That's what I'm supposed to do. And this is about to make me cry.
I'm trying not to cry. I'm like,
oh my gosh.
I'm trying not to cry. I'm like, okay, let me finish this question.
But no, it's a real thing. It's a real thing because I felt deserted. I felt bad and I hated God. And I think I remember hating him for at least 2 years. I didn't want nothing to do with him. God, what? He allowed this to happen to me. Like how?
Yeah.
And even to this day, like I'm not quite sure what was the turning point for me to be where I am now.
Yeah.
Because I teach and I'm at church and I serve God's people and I love God. I have the relationship with him, but I cannot remember at that time what was that turning point. But I do remember absolutely hating him for 2 years because I couldn't understand why that happened. And I just think throughout the years, I've learned, as I've shared my story, as I've spoken to people, it's been a blessing to other people. And so I adopted the thought process that sometimes things don't happen to you for you. Sometimes it happens to you for somebody else. It can happen. Everything happens for a reason, whether it's monetary, physical, spiritual, mental, emotional, whatever, but it may not be for you. It may be for somebody you're going to meet 20 years down the line. And that's where that came from.
Well, that takes like such a strong person to adopt that thought process, because I personally have had things occur in my life, and I did not want to adopt that mind process, that thought process. People were trying to tell me like, well, this may not be for you. Well, it's happening to me right now. So what do you mean this is not for me? You know, so like, what was the catalyst that kind of got you? Because I know it took 2 years, which, I mean, honestly, I don't know how long it takes someone to finally say, okay, God, this process is too much for me, and I actually don't hate you. I need you. So I don't know how long that normally takes, or if you can even put a number on it. But what was the catalyst for you that got you to that point to say, this is actually a testimony?
You know what? I don't remember. I just know that when I start sharing my story, and someone who was about to commit suicide no longer wanted to commit suicide. When someone was going through a very hard time, and I would share my story with them, and they changed, or they really opened up and would become really, really vulnerable with me. I'm like, okay, Lord, I know that this was not for me to go through. It was for somebody else. But you're right. It does take a very strong mind. And I don't know, because that process is not beautiful. It's not that healing process. And even now, I can still be affected by anxiety sometimes. Like if I go through a door and it just overcomes me, I will hurry up and walk in the door, and I have to shut the door, and I have to lock the door, and I have to just be like, okay, like I can breathe again now. And that still affects me now. And I know it's far worse for some other people. But I've also been the person. And I have to give lots of kudos to my mom, because she taught me how to be strong. If it had not been for her, I would not have been strong. But she didn't teach me the way y'all think she taught me, okay?
How did she teach you?
She didn't teach me like, oh, be strong, little girl. It wasn't like that.
She taught you how to fight?
No. Oh. Yes or no. Oh. So how she taught me was because at night, it would hit me really, really bad at night. And I'd be so afraid to go to sleep, so afraid to be in my room. And I would just bang on her door. I remember for weeks and weeks and weeks, I would bang on her door. Mama, can I please sleep with you? Can I please sleep with you? And she allowed me to sleep with her for like a few weeks, and that was cool. And then I had to take out the trash at night. And when you talk about somebody having to take out the trash at night,
girl, I'm scared to take out the trash out.
Is all like, we lived in a house.
Girl, I'm not going outside.
Yard. And my mom at first, she'd be like, okay, well, Monica, she pushed me. Because I was like, I'm not taking out trash. I will get
okay, so the trash was in y'all backyard.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So you weren't, okay.
But I had to run from point A to point B to point B to point A.
Yeah.
And so at first she didn't let me do the trash because she knew how it affected me.
Yeah.
And then finally she said, well, you're going to take out the trash. And I would just cry and cry. Just like, I can't do it. And so then she said, well, I'm going to watch you at the door. And it was like a progression. And then after that, she was like, I'm not watching you no more. And when I tell you, I used to do some trifling stuff because I did not want to. When she said take out the trash, I'm like, I'm going to take it out in the morning. I'm going to hide this trash under my bed, because it was just such a fear of me going out the trash and thinking that man was around the corner at every single moment. And matter of fact, I hated my mom for it. I hated her for about a couple of years too. So much to the point, I'm about to be super vulnerable, that this is crazy. I've never said this aloud.
Okay. If you don't want to, if you feel that the Holy Spirit is guiding you to say it, then say it. But if you don't want to say it, I don't care. You don't have to say it.
No.
Okay.
But I really hated my mom for that, because at that time, being 10 years old, I could not understand, why are you pushing me? Why I can no longer sleep with you? Why are you making me do this? Like, I couldn't. You don't love me. You can't possibly love me. So I hate you. And in my mind, I gotta do some plotting because you got to go. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm like, no, seriously, I was really plotting. Like, mama, you gotta go.
Because it's like your 10-year-old mind. It's like, you should want to protect me. You know, this is scaring the hell out of me.
Absolutely.
And I'm constantly being like tortured every day. But when I'm listening to you, it's like she wanted you to live.
She wanted me to live. And I honestly think that had she not done that,
I got goosebumps.
Had my mom just held my hand every single day, had she just told me, pat me on the back, it's going to be okay, I'm going to shelter you from every single thing in this world, I would not be the woman I am. I would not have moved here. You know, I'm from Nashville, and I moved here, no family, no nothing. And that's major to me.
Yeah.
Because most kidnapping survivors,
they're
not doing that.
When you told me you was a kidnapping survivor, I don't know like how you're going to take this, but I did not correlate it to how your personality is, because you're so outgoing and you're so friendly, and you will talk to anybody, and you wave at everybody at church. I'll be like, they said something to her one time, and here she is waving. Hey girl. But like, there's nothing wrong with this. This is how we should be. But like, I just would never correlate your personality being, you know, like, not to sound judgmental, but being having a past of being a kidnapping survivor.
It was fighting. It was reinventing, not even reinventing. I was 10 years old, inventing myself. And this this is crazy, but I'm gonna tell you, I'm just giving you all the tea for real. So after my situation, I could not stay in the state, in the city of Nashville. Like, I was just too terrified. It was too much stuff going on. So I didn't even finish out my 4th grade school year that year. I think it was shy, maybe like 3 weeks, a month maybe. So I had an aunt in Chicago. And she allowed me to stay in Chicago because the nightmares and the dreams, it was just so much. It was so heavy. So my mom allowed me to go to stay with my aunt, and it was cool. And the area that my aunt lived in, I mean, it wasn't the greatest neighborhood, but it wasn't just super, super bad.
Yeah.
And I remember this prostitute, this prostitute baby, she looked good. She was dripping in red, baby. Body was snatched.
The prostitute.
She was everything. The prostitute had her spur baby in the summer. I don't know why she had her in the summer, but whatever.
Girl, she needed to look the part, girl.
Down, okay. And so she walks up to me and she says, hey, baby, what are you doing? And she smelled good. And I was just like, I'm just drawing, because I was just outside, just drawing on the sidewalk or whatever. And I said, what are you? What is your name? What do you do? She said, oh, honey, I'm a prostitute. My 10-year-old mind didn't know what a prostitute was. But at that time, I wanted to be a prostitute because this is why I wanted to be a prostitute, y'all.
Not a prostitute.
I wanted to be a prostitute because what I saw in her was that she was confident. What I saw was that she was beautiful. What I saw was that she was owning who she was.
Yeah.
And I guess it was her pimp, her dude, whatever. He was with her too. And she was still like that girl. And so in my mind, I said, I want to be that girl. Because she looked like she was fearless.
You wanted a sense of power. Yeah, you wanted a sense of power.
It is so funny because then the next school year, my teacher was like, draw what you want to be when you grow up. And of course, I drew a prostitute and I put it on there. And she called my mom and she was like, well, your daughter wants to be a prostitute. Because I didn't know what a prostitute was until they was like, oh, a prostitute does. And I was just like,
She really called. Well, I can see why she was worried about that. But in my mind, I would be like, if I was a teacher, I'd be like, babe, honey, do you know what a prostitute is? You know, get a sense instead of, you know. Yeah.
But, you know, but what that taught me, though, of course, I didn't want to be a prostitute for real. Once I learned what it was. But I wanted to be a woman that owned herself, good, bad, indifferent. I definitely believe you can't shame a woman who is unashamed. So that's why I can freely tell you my story. I can freely say, yeah, I did that. I'm going to own it. I'm going to stand on that. That's what I did, because that empowers me to accept every good, bad part. So throughout my life, I wanted to be that person, I said, hey, I'm going to be the confident woman.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be whatever. I'm not going to allow this to define me. And that was my essence. And I went
That is your essence.
That
is your essence, because when I met you, that's what I that's what I grasp for you, that you are a confident woman, that you do own what you do. And so when you told me your backstory, I didn't even ask how old you were at the time, but when you told me your backstory, I'm like, dang, like God really, he did his big one, because what stain? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, like, what blemish? I don't see anything. You know what I'm saying? So I see that. So okay, let me back up. Being that you have, overcome some of those anxieties about being out alone and stuff, I know you. Just because I know you, and I know that you're a Black woman, you're not just my friend, you are a Black woman, and you live, you have a son. How do you go about moving throughout the world having that history? Because I know it doesn't define you, but I know it probably does add a little bit more like precautionary things in your mind.
It does, but I try not to allow it to rule me. For instance, like I said, I moved from Nashville now to Dallas or whatever, and I love that. So that was one definite thing. Like, I'm bursting these barriers, but I'm kind of a risque person. January I swim with sharks. I've jumped off of cliffs and done. I do a lot of daring things, and I do those things because it heightens my perspective. If I can do this, I can do X, Y,
That's
Z.
good.
If I can swim with sharks, I can come out here and face this. Like, whatever that adversity is,
and if he pull up on me, I can whoop it. No, just
1, 2. No.
Yeah.
But even with my son, though, that's a good point that you brought, though, because now I'm I kind of teeter with it a little bit, because I don't want to shelter him because of my experience. I don't want to put him in a personal prison because I am afraid of what happened to me. For instance, my son is baptized. And so when he got baptized at 10 years old. And I was scared, and I held my breath, and I had to pray. And I was like, Lord, please let me get through the next day. Let me get through the next day. Yeah. Because in my mind, I know what happened to me when I was 10 and what happened the next day. I was like, just protect him and, provide him. And I had to check myself. Monica, why are you scared? God is God. He was God then. He's still going to be God now. So, in certain instances, I try to loosen the rein because I do need to prepare him for what's out here in the world. My mom, she didn't really shelter me a whole lot. And so I don't want to shelter my son in that regard. And I tell him, you're a Black boy. You got to look out for this. You got to look out for that. You got to do this. You got to carry this and da-da-da-da. But at the same time, you have to just be aware. So I do believe in loosening it up, but then reining it in, especially now because people are crazy.
I don't know if you'll be able to, and this is not at all to diminish your, you being self-aware, but do you feel like, and this might sound crazy, I'm just going to add that. Okay. Do you feel like your kidnapping played a huge part or impactful part in how you set your boundaries in your relationships? Platonic and romantic.
You know what? That was good. That's good. That's really good. I'm going to tell you why. Because at this big old age that I am now, because I'm in therapy works. And not just because of this issue, but for side note, whatever you don't deal with in your childhood, for real, it shows up in your adult life. It shows up in the way you run a business. It shows up how you operate in your career, in your relationships. So when you truly don't deal with those things, it comes up, but it comes up in different forms, right? So for me, and this is something that I just learned about myself, so this is interesting. I always like to look at the good in people. And even to my own detriment. And I will be like, no, this can't be right. Like, I'd rather be the crazy person.
It's true, baby.
I would rather, it's like, right. No. Like, you really have to slap me. Like, really beat me up with the truth for me to say, okay, this is what it is. And I got to wash my hands with you. And I think it's because now going back to 10 years old, I didn't want to believe that man was doing what he was doing, because I really want to believe everybody is still good in some shape, form, or fashion. And so it's definitely shaping how I create boundaries with people, because I know everybody is not good. Everybody is not looking out for my good. And I have to be okay with that. But it's taking this big age for me to realize that.
I wonder if that's like some sort of like a safety mechanism for your, like, for you, because if you don't do that, then what does the other opposite end look like? You living in fear that everybody is bad, or like, that's what I'm thinking. Like, is that some sort of safety thing that you may or may not do?
What?
I am not a therapist. I don't know.
No, I don't think it's a safety. I don't feel safe in it per se. I just want to look at everybody in a good light.
I understand that.
I just really do want to look at everybody in a good light. And
I understand that.
Me wrong.
I really do. I can relate not being had that experience. I can relate wanting to see everybody as, you have the best intentions for me. Girl, I don't know. I think I snapped out of that. I didn't listen. I snapped out of that maybe like 2-3 years ago. And now I'm on the other end, like, Sabrina, stop side-eyeing everybody. Like, because it's not on my face, but it's major side-eye in my brain. Like,
the other thing to that is, I never want to become the bitter Black woman.
Period. Yeah.
And I've prided myself on that. And through heartbreak, disappointments, all kind of crazy stuff, I have said I never want to be the bitter Black woman. Because when you are the bitter Black woman, you look at everything, she ain't all that, he ain't all this ain't real. You look at it through a negative lens first. Yeah. And I don't want that on me. And I don't want to have a contentious spirit on me because I'm looking through the lens of bitter Black woman.
I just hate that term, because who made that up? Because we know it wasn't women. we know. Listen, this is not a real question. I already know who made up the bitter Black woman. But I beg to differ. Was that woman really bitter?
Probably not. She just probably had boundaries.
Exactly. Was that woman really bitter though? Yeah, that's my question. I
don't know, but I have been around some bitter people. And I have been around some negative Nancys. And it does not do my spirit well. I have them in my family. So it's not even like it's people all the way up the street. Like, it's really, really close proximity. I have those people, and it bothers me. Like, that does not bring me peace. It does not bring me joy to be around those type of people a lot. Yeah. They're energy suckers.
Yeah.
It's almost like, okay, think about it this way. When you really making money, when you are really in your bag, sometimes it takes you seeing somebody else that has a bigger bag to motivate you and inspire you to say, this is real.
That's
Even
true.
The president, we had a Black president. Yeah. Nobody thought it was possible until it was possible. Yeah. And when it happened, it was like, oh, I can go do this, and I can go do this, and I can go do that. Well, what happens if you have somebody that's always shooting negativity to you? That's always just being ugly. That's always being bitter. That's always, they just got problem. It takes you down.
I like something that you said. This was like, I don't know, a few phone conversations ago. You were talking about your son and how every time he talks to you, he knows exactly what he wants. He knows exactly, he in his mind, nothing is off limits. And like, I was like, that is great, because if it was up to this world, we would all have walls around us. You can only do this. A man would always be setting a limit for us. So for your son at a young age to already feel like, the world is his oyster, like nothing is truly off limits, not even the sky is his limits. Yeah. That's really great. And that speaks volume to you as a mom, because you're putting that back into someone else who can put that back into the world through someone else. Right. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's great. Like,
just ask me something. Son and this boy that he wants to come and stay the entire summer. I never met this boy before. The boy's never even flown, never even traveled, nothing. And so he texted me this morning. He's like, hey, Mom, can he come and stay with us for the whole summer and this and this and this? I'm like, you really believe that you just can have whatever, huh?
That's crazy. He don't even know this boy?
I don't know this boy.
How does he know him?
at school.
Oh,
And then he tries
okay,
to throw
okay,
it in.
okay,
He's
okay.
like, Mom, he's a really, really good boy. He's really changed my life. First of all, son, God changed your life. Put some respect on God's name. But whatever. I'm just like, boy. Like, he just asked me things like, okay, like, Mama, yeah, you're right. Whatever, I can have it all. And I love that for him. Although sometimes the answer is no.
And that's okay. We all have to hear no.
Because it lets me know. And actually, my son has dyslexia.
Okay.
So for him to...
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So for him to arrive at this point...
Yeah.
It was a lot of crying, a lot of tears, a lot of confidence boosting. I mean, a lot of it, because he couldn't really read and he couldn't really do the math stuff and he couldn't do all of these particular things. So it was lots of struggle. And one of the biggest things was, okay, if you are struggling in this area, I want to make sure that you're confident in any other area. So if you look at him, baby, he don't look like he's struggling in academics at all.
I'll never know. What I mean? He's very smart. That's your twin. No, he really looks just like you. Like he has a soft baby face, and he's chocolate, and it don't even help that he's tall. How old is he?
13.
He looks 16.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. I'm not even gonna get into these prom. Have you been seeing these prom pictures?
Yes, I have.
These kids look like they're our age, Monica.
Listen, I'm not ready.
They look so grown. Your son is gonna look 30 when he's...
First of all, my son feels like we can get a monkey tomorrow. So just imagine what he think this prom situation is going to look like. It's out of
order. Like, okay, so I'll say this. On one end, I'm like, okay, that's really good. They doing it up. They doing it big. They look beautiful. And then on the other end, I'm like, y'all, this is kind of out of there. Like, they might be spending more than my car note for sure.
What? Girl, yes.
Like, they look like they spending rent, car note, multiple things on like dresses,
thousands,
cars, jewelry. Like, what is happening?
Mini weddings. Okay.
Yeah. For
mini weddings.
You guys, it's a prom. Like, I'm not trying to diminish it, but like, I'm gonna hold you. Maybe I am a little jelly because my prom was all right. Like, but I don't know. I just feel like they're doing a lot. And I mean, kudos. Yeah. But y'all can't... It's kind of hard to do a lot with every single thing that happens in life.
It is. And you know what? I'm okay with it because everybody not broke. And that's okay.
Now that's
some people can afford it and not
some people can.
However, if you are struggling and if your child does not know about financial literacy, how dare you splurge like that?
I would hope that all of these pictures, these hundreds and thousands of pictures that we're seeing, everybody got their big one and them giving their child thousands of dollars for the prom. It's just like, $10 or something in their minds.
Oh, okay.
Like in their minds. I know it's not $10 in real life. I'm saying, like, I hope this is like, this is a little bit of, this is for them. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I hope so. Yeah. So I know with your travel agency, you advertise your travel agency a lot on Instagram. Why did you decide to go into travel, like into the travel agency industry?
Everything is so deep with me. Let me just say, so deep.
Okay, I'm ready to hear it. Oh, I was ready. I like deep stuff.
It is, but it's not. So it's two parts to it.
Okay.
So the first part was I went on my first cruise in 2014. My mom... And funny thing is, my mom, it just hit me. So my mom was one of those parents that she didn't really want you to go nowhere. She ain't trying to let you meet nobody else's parents. Like, you can't go over your friend's house unless I meet their friends. But she ain't never making time to meet the friends or to meet the friends' parents. So I think because of my kidnapping situation,
like black moms. All black parents.
Probably. But
yeah.
But she really held tight, like really after that, which, that makes sense. I get that. Like, our whole life shifted and changed after my situation or whatever. But my mom at the same time, she was like, you can't go anywhere, you can't do anything. So she was very closed-minded to a lot of things. But somehow she started traveling throughout the years, and she encouraged myself and my family to start traveling. And so we went on a cruise. Now, she was still very tight-knit on the cruise, though, but it was baby steps. She free now. She cool now. But, anyway, we go on this cruise. She takes us on this cruise. And I just remember being on the balcony and looking at the water. And I was like, wow, God did all this. Like, he did all of this.
He's an artist.
Like, I just see water for miles and miles and miles. And
I
at a
love
certain
it.
point, you can't see nothing else.
Yes.
Like, God did all of this. And
just,
that made me,
just the sky and water.
yes. And then when it was dark at night, you couldn't see nothing.
Yeah.
And I was like, my God did this. I was like, oh my gosh. So there's so much more to the world than just my little four corners of the world.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I knew, because I had been to other states and stuff like that. But just being out in other countries and other places, I was like, okay, other people should see this. Like, it was like, I gotta tell everybody about this. Everybody gotta see, because God is so amazing, right? Then the other part of that, because that happened in 2014, but I was just so in awe. And of course, I was telling everybody. And yes, I'm a travel professional, and I do get high off my own supplies. So of course, now I do, and even then I do. And so I became the family travel planner, right?
I love it. Yeah,
friends and family. I mean, whole full itineraries. We about to go see the dolphins. We about to go do the boat rides. We about to go do this. Okay. And then in 2016, I got like super, super sick, right? Because I am a lupus warrior. God, when God made me, baby, he said, you about to overcome this and this and this and this. So anyway, I have lupus or whatever. I have lupus. It does not have me.
Amen.
And so I got really, really sick, and I had to be hospitalized in 2016. And I had racked up probably over like $16,000-$17,000 worth of medical bills. And I'm like, oh my gosh, here I am. I'm a single mom. I got all these bills. What am I going to do? I need to do something that does not take away from my kid, because remember, my kid has dyslexia, and he needs me to pour into him and teach him and da-da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
So then I was like, well, how about I make turn my passion into a profit? I love planning. I love trips. I want people to be able to explore. Yeah. So this is going to help me fill that gap. And it's something that I absolutely love. So my business is called Tega Travels, and Tega is Nigerian, and it also the short name for Ogunatega, and Tega means God is worship worthy. Ooh. And I felt like
I didn't know that.
I felt like,
why you never told me that?
I don't know. You never asked.
I don't know. I should have asked. It's my bad.
Yeah. So that's why even when I have T-shirts and stuff, I have Tega in every place that I go. Okay. My clients get it as well. So basically, they don't even know, which I explained it to them. It says God is worship worthy in Brazil. God is worship worthy in Mexico, because he is worship worthy everywhere, despite everything. And I felt like, hey, you know what? If God is in it, my business cannot fail. And I pray. I even go to the point, I pray for my clients. I pray for my future clients. I really pray for them, because I want them to be blessed, just like God has blessed me. So I started my business because I wanted other people to see the world as I saw it as well, to see his beauty. But I also started it because I was sick and I need to pay those medical bills. So
I love it, especially Tega Travels. Okay, so you yourself being a survivor, not just of kidnapping, but of lupus, that in itself is like a huge guys with you, for real. For real. What can you share with other women who are also kidnapper survivors? Like, what would be something that you could share with them that will help them to kind of overcome whatever hard season that they're in?
I think the biggest thing that helped me was me trying to identify who I want to be, and not allowing the situation or situations to dictate who I will become. So I would say definitely look at it. Although I wanted to be a prostitute, but I wanted the confidence. I was
going to say that.
Let me just stop that. I don't want
I know. I was going to say, so let me be clear. What advice would you give to other survivors struggling with confidence and
I'm just playing.
Listen, I don't want her on this podcast. She forced me on this playing. Okay,
no. But no, really, truly identify who you want to be, how you want to show up, and keep making those strides, no matter how painful, no matter if it starts out with a scoot, no matter if it starts out with a crawl, no matter what. And every single thing that you do, only consume those things that's going to push you forward. I read a lot of books. I listened to a lot of healthy music. I put myself in those situations to where I'm going to grow. Also be mindful of what you listen to. Rebuke everything that's negative. Anybody that's coming into your circle that has negative things, even if they want to continuously talk about your situation to pity you, build yourself up, because you're going to need it. It's going to be a fight, because on your own, you're going to have some doubts. You're going to have some strongholds. You're going to have some things that you're going to fight behind closed doors. And you need people. You need to consume conversations. You need to consume healthy content. You need to consume things that's going to help you move forward. Also, make sure that you can get in community, especially with someone spiritual. Back then, I didn't have it. Matter of fact, nobody knew how to deal with that. Nobody knew. Like, nobody really could reach out and say, oh, this happened to you. Nobody did. Even the church couldn't help me because they didn't know how. They was just like, oh, well, we're going to pray. Yes, pray. But then there's some deep dive therapy that needs to happen. There's some rehabilitation that needs to happen.
What does that look like? Like, when you talk about rehabilitation, like, what does that look like for someone who's struggling with confidence and self-worth, or even living after being a kidnapping survivor?
A lot of inner work and a lot of pushing. Pushing past your comfort zone. Pushing past your comfort zone. Once again, it goes back to who you want to be. You can either be a victim or you can be a victor. And if you're going to be in victim, then of course, don't do nothing. Don't seek therapy. Don't speak to people and mentors and seek things. Don't try to make yourself look better. Don't pour into self-care. But if you want to be the victor, if you want to say I can do and be more, then you're going to have to do and be more. And a lot of people say, they just say it. But no, when I say it, y'all, oh my gosh, when I say do it, I'm not talking about, today I'm just going to do this. No, like for years. So, I had a self-care business. It was called Vivacious Box. Okay. And Vivacious Box stemmed from years and years of me doing a lot of self-care. And it started out as a diaper box at the time. And so what I would do is, it's called love deposits. I would make love deposits and love withdrawals. So in my diaper box, I would put those days where I felt like I was just on top of the world, when I felt bomb.com, when I felt like I am that chick, when I felt pretty, when I felt beautiful, when it was really, really good days. And I dated it and I wrote it down and I stuck it into the box. And on those days where I didn't feel good, on those days where I felt like the world is against me, I felt ugly, I felt fat, everybody was against me, I had all these issues, right? Or if I wanted to die, I would go in and I would pull a note out of my my then diaper box and I would read it. And it served as a reminder, this can happen to you. You can have a good day again. You are worthy of a good day. You are beautiful. And so, matter of fact, that happened after my kidnapping situation. I would just write. I did a lot of writing. I did the diaper box thing, and that's how Vivacious Box was born, because I was like, okay, I need to be able to share and remember. Even to this day, I still have those notes. I still have notes that I write to this day, because you can, but it's going to take work. You're going to have to push through. And the question is, how do you push through? Flashback to when you had a good day. Matter of fact, if you're feeling down, you're feeling lowly, dress yourself up. Consume only good things. Matter of fact, it was a time I had to throw away all my music because I was like, okay, this is all thugged out music. It was all this other kind of music. It's not music that's fulfilling me.
And it's not feeding you. But it wasn't feeding you.
That's what rehabilitating your mind. When the Bible speaks of renewing your mind, being not transformed but by being renewed by your mind.
Yes.
Renewing your mind means I can do this. It means that I'm going to have to do the work beyond just saying it with my mouth.
Yes.
I did a lot of different self-care things. A lot of self-care, journaling, writing, of course the bubble baths and all that, but self-care is so much more than just bubble baths and stuff. It's about the inner peace, the inner work. I even did burning paper. On one side I'd put the thing that I want to let go of, and on the other side I'd put the things that I want to put in. I'd release it in the atmosphere.
I like that.
I've done that. I've done the balloon release things. I've done so many different things in self-care because I want it different, but it's because you have to have that want. I never want to be a victim in no situation. I'm only victor.
I love that. When you said, when you mentioned the renewing of your mind, I was looking for this scripture, and it was talking about in the Bible how God tells us not to forget basically what he's done for us previously, and how if we are to forget everything that God does for us, we would move in so much like selfishness. We would move in so much like, what is the word I'm looking for? What's the opposite of humble? Like basically like we did it, our arrogance. Yes. But like in your case, you needed to be fed. So you were actually doing that back work where it was like, I'm already in this place where I'm like suffering. I need to feed myself, you know, and you already did the work so that you would like kind of like meal prepping. Instead of like looking for something because you hungry, you can just go in the fridge because you already prepped for it.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same thing that we need to do in our walk with God. If we already know that these hard times are coming, we already know that they are not behind us. But yeah, we can overcome with Christ, but like there's still more because he has not come back yet.
Yeah.
He has not come back to get us, his bride. Then we need to always keep that prep work at hand.
Stand on the promises of God.
Amen.
And that's how I pray. I'm like, God, you said you would never leave me or forsake me. You said I'm going to be the head and not the tail. You said, baby, you better get real granular.
I feel like pulling out this book. I have this book, okay? I have this book, and it's like, maybe I'll put it in the notes on here. But it's like it has all of the things that you can be going through, like wary, say you're envious, say you're broke and you're struggling with finances, and you're struggling with stability, and each word or each like characteristic, whatever you want to call it, you can go to the verse from there. And it's like, but no, God really does want us to rely on him. Like he is already prepped. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All we got to do is reach for it.
Come on.
Reach for it. You know what I'm saying? We don't have to go outside. It's already here. So I love that. Like, I love that you knew that this was not forever done and that you would always need to do the work. And so you prepped for it. I did,
that. But let me say this because I never want to be arrogant though.
Yeah.
Because I just feel like this is my journey. This is God said I got to walk this path and this is my path and I'm owning that path. That's all that it is.
Yeah.
It's not me being like, oh, I can do this and I can do that. No, because I can stand here today and I can help somebody else because I did overcome.
Yeah.
She gonna kick me off the podcast, but whatever. She kicked me out. But I'm gonna say this anyway. To me, it's almost like the best way to overcome addiction is for somebody that had addiction. Like, I don't want to hear if I'm a crackhead, I don't want to come to you that's not a crackhead because I feel like you have not been deep down in the trenches of where I've been, and now you've overcome. You're only speaking from the lens of where you are, not the lens of where someone like me has been.
Yeah.
But in order for that to happen, that transformation to happen, somebody got to really, truly understand instead of just looking at a high level. They got to be able to remember the flashbacks, go back to when I was low, when I was in a dark place, when I was here. This is how I came out of that. So I really feel like, out of everything bad, something good comes out of it, whether it's from me, myself, somebody else, whatever the case may be. But it is part of my journey. And it's part of my essence journey. Yes. It's definitely part of my journey.
Essence journey.
It's because of God. He's sovereign. So if he didn't want it to happen, it wouldn't have happened. And guess what? Right now, today, I'm giving him the glory, even through that traumatic experience. Would I ever want to do that again? Nope. Would I wish that on anybody else? No. But to God, he's still getting the glory.
I was online and it says something like every 35 seconds, a child is kidnapped in the U.S. And immediately I was like, oh my gosh, this is like horrible. I don't want this to happen to anybody that I know or anybody's child. And then I also thought about how many shades of testimonies that God has already supplied, how many receipts he got as to how he's already rescued previous children. So even though you've been through this, just he's already prepped you for the work, for what's to come. And like your story, though it's your story, he's already did the work so that you can already, help someone else who has a similar story like yours. Like we go on YouTube and we look for something or somebody that so if you're going through depression, like me, I know I've been through YouTube for a few guy issues. Like, help me out. Does anybody know how I feel? I'll be listening to this YouTube video until she says certain words of how I'm feeling. I'm not going to listen for more than 3-5 minutes.
Oh my goodness.
I'm clicking off. But it's like when I think about how God uses people, I think like you don't have to click off because he's so divine. He's so divine. His timing with people is so divine. And that's why I really wanted you on my podcast, because it's like, how many people do I know who personally went through this besides you? Zero. But how many people are there out there? Google said that every 35 seconds a child is kidnapped. So even though I know one, there are so many people that one person can impact. Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? And I just think it's beautiful that you give God the glory for your overcoming and for you being here right now. And even through it all, you still thank God. You still reverence God. You still live for God. You still want to honor God with your life. Like, that's beautiful.
I appreciate that. But it's God. I'm not going to hold you. It is God. And it's purpose. I feel like it's part of my purpose. Because look, y'all, I tried to take myself out before. Matter of fact, I've tried to run into oncoming traffic. It was crazy traffic, right? And I was just in a state of depression so bad. And I was just like, you know what? If I go, it doesn't even matter. And so I took my hand off the wheel, took my feet off the gas, and I just let my car veer out. And I was ready to go, like for real. And the fact that I'm still here, like not one car hit me, nothing happened to me. God was like, okay, wake up, girl. It's time. Like, and I was just like, okay. And I got up. So for me, if me being kidnapped did not take me out, and I'm a survivor, honey, it was some sexual stuff that happened in my childhood with like boys in my school, like that type of stuff. If that didn't take me out, if kidnapping didn't take me out, if just lupus didn't take me out, if me trying to take me out didn't take me out, who am I to say that I ain't got no purpose in my life? So now when I go through some things, I'll be like, okay, girl, but you got purpose though. Because if not, those other things would have wiped you out. Some things that would have killed other people, you still here, you are still standing. So you still got work to do.
Yes.
So I definitely got to give him the glory. Even when I be upset with him sometimes, because he be tripping with me. But, you know, I'm just playing. He don't be tripping with me. I be tripping with him.
Oh, my gosh.
No.
Oh, my God. Last question. What resources, I know you mentioned therapy, but what other resources or different kinds of support that you would like to give to people who are struggling with these kind of things? Especially being a survivor or even just like struggling with self-worth or, you know, low confidence.
Ooh, it's so much. Definitely therapy. Definitely speak to your doctor, speak to your spiritual leaders. See if they are in community with outside companies, because they are there as well. And situations as tough as this, a lot of them can kind of be a little hidden down until you do research, but definitely starting with a therapist, definitely starting with your spiritual leaders, definitely starting out with people in the community. Your local health department will definitely know some community programs that you can get involved into or with, no matter where you are. I would definitely seek that. If you feel like you want to harm yourself, because being real, it gets dark sometimes. Make sure that you call mobile health crisis. Make sure you call the ambulance. Make sure you reach out and make sure that you pour or get in community with people, like good, solid people, not just having people around you just because you need bodies, but be around people that really care about you and can really help you through the process.
That's good. That's good, because life it be life and sometimes. But I am so glad that you came on this podcast. This was such a good episode. The camera shut off, but it is what it is. God still got the glory, and you still was able to speak. And I'm so glad that you had the trust in God, the trust in with me to share your testimony on this platform, because it is so important to me. And things were kind of crazy when you first got here. I was like, Jesus,
he didn't want it to,
can you help me to come out? Because I'm doing everything right now. I kind of prepped and I'm still struggling a little bit, but he came through. Okay. And you came through, and I'm so grateful. Okay, so where can people find your travel agency? Where can people find details on that?
Yeah, the easiest thing, tegatravels.com.
tegatravels.com.
TEGA travels with the S.com.
And if people want to follow you, where can they follow you?
My Travel Planning Life.
My Travel Planning Life.
Yes, on Instagram and on TikTok.
And can you say your last name again? Because I love how it sounds.
Ekporasefwe.
I don't know how to say that. Ekporasefwe.
Ekporasefwe. Mm-hmm.
I'm going to stop.
Yeah.
All right, that is going to be the end of this week's episode. Thank you again for listening. I hope that this landed on someone's heart and someone's ears, and that someone was encouraged by today's message. And that is the end.
Yay.
I think it was a good